Hey folks, let's get this new metric chassis off the jig. I got a few things I've added I want to cover and show y'all, and then we got a few more tubes to add where we can get some paint on this thing and get this thing ready to assemble. Y'all stick around. A few folks have asked, how do I get my chassis down off of my jig there that I build on? And it's really not hard how I do it. So I've got one of these 24-inch lifts here in the floor. I'm going to transfer it over, and that's what I'm going to throw the paint on with it on this lift, and then I can raise it up and like start bolting on, get it up, roller, put it all back together. So you see I don't have the engine in it. I pulled that back out. I took the fuel cell back out of it, so I got it down to its bare weight right now. And I got me some 2x8/16 across here. All we're going to do is just cut it loose, let it fall down, and then just slide it across. No big deal. Opportunity to buy several pieces of thick machine plate steel that were like remnants and stuff from our fab shop at work, and so I purchased all of it, brought it home. I think it's really going to be helpful on building stock cars and stuff. So me and Ryan were going through it and looking up how much plate steel weighs, and we used a piece of 8-inch by 3/4 by like 29 inches, and that weighs 50 pounds. And we made this piece that all of our ballast blocks can mount to. Here, check this footage out where we were making this. It's a lot of work and just drilling and tapping all of these holes. Check this out. Let's go. How you want to do it? Turn around on the end?
Yeah, I can hold it like this.
You can hold it like that? Okay. We're about there. What we're thinking is like scaling the car, we'll bolt pieces of lead where we want, because like we can bolt 25 or 40 pound blocks in each one of these 5 positions. And of course I spaced the holes exactly like I drill all of my lead. I drill all my lead at 3.5-inch spacing, and I use the bread pans. I got 2 different size bread pans. I got one for a 25 pound piece of lead, and then I got a bigger bread pan that I do a 40 pound block of lead with. But either one will go on here. And like if we need to move some weight during the night, or like say add on a 40 pound block right there on the end over the right rear, we should be able to just like pull the right rear tire off and like throw that piece of lead up on top of this plate and just put the bolts in, tighten them down. I think it's going to work really well. If this works good, I've got enough of that I could do this on the next 10 or 20 cars. So yeah, really expensive stuff, but one of them deals where that you're buying remnants that are leftovers and starting to get rusty, so I bought it for pennies on the dollar. I think it's going to be a great investment, y'all. So I was happy about that. And let's see, there's a couple more tubes you're going to put in. I got this one right here. So I got a down leg that's going to come in right here. And I got the seat out and checked, and I think I won't even have to take the halo off the seat, which if I have to take the halo off, that's fine. I got it ready to go. I'm going to put it in right here, and then I am going to tie across the top. Of course, crate racing requires for you to have a tube splitting the top of your car, and you need to do that for safety anyway, from intrusion. But I'm going to come from this point across because I've got a big triangle right here on this corner. I've got multiple tubes on those corners. This one right here, even with this dog leg coming up like this, it can still buckle this tube out this way and this tube out this way and fold in and down on my head. So my one going across is going to go across like this. so that if I get a direct hit, say this car flips over on its lid and hits the ground right there, I want a tube that's going across, that's going to transfer that load across into the cage instead of these two tubes here just buckling out and this folding down. Alright, so that's how we're going about doing this from a safety standpoint. So these tubes right here, I left them out until I got the car down just so I wasn't having to crawl around on top and just wait to see how the car came together, because I wanted to make sure I got these right whenever we knew we had our design and stuff. So, gotta get this. This thing's heavy. There we go. Now, see if we got any of these things we want to weld up in the bottom here. Or anything. I tried to weld everything all the way around as I went, but still, do the flip one over and check it before I call myself done. Clean some of this stuff up. I hear some hail. I know I hear some hail. Yep, I see a few pieces too. Ooh, big hail. And I got my truck outside. Dadgummit. That's the dime size. Dang. Get bigger. I think that pretty well gets the bottom side of it. I had a few places I had missed. That's the main thing. I was trying to weld up the bottom as I went, but I caught one or two tubes that I had a couple gaps. I had a gap right there, a gap right there, little spot here or there. That was basically all I was doing here. And then there's a couple places like up here where they stitch this frame together up underneath, you know, from the factory. I was putting some welds in on a couple places like that, but you know, wasn't much that got missed, so knocks that out, get this thing turned back over. Well, as you can see, we're jumping ahead here. I've got paint on the chassis and I've got parts put back on the car. I had the car over here and, you know, we were putting the tubes in and everything a while ago. And then I realized I needed to go ahead and start putting paint on where I could start bolting stuff up. And I got paint all over me. And there's no way I can run cameras and have paint all over me at the same time. And I said, you know what? Let's just get paint on the car and worry about that. And so this is Massey Ferguson Gray. It's just the Krylon farm implement from my local Tractor Supply farm store. I use implement paint because, you know, I don't have all the fixtures and tabs and everything for the body mounts and stuff on the car, and I don't know where things go until like I get it to the point that I can figure it out. So I'm not good enough building cars to be able to powder coat, because you got to have like everything on the car the way it needs to be to powder coat, and it's just not worth it to me. I don't want to grind a bunch of powder coat off to add on welds and stuff and be, you know, spray painting that stuff anyway before we ever put the car on the track the first time. So that's the reason I don't powder coat. If I was good enough that I could figure all that out and do it, I probably would powder coat because the stuff is just really tough. But this is fine. I brushed all of this on, and then you'll see I left all of this upper part here exposed, and I left exposed some of this stuff here because there's some more welding that's going to happen for me to figure out all this deck stuff. And I'll take, and after I get all that figured out, I'll brush that in. This stuff up here I'll probably tape off, and I'll actually spray this where we get a nice, good glossy finish on the parts that are exposed. Paint don't make a car faster, y'all. So for me, this paint is just rust prevention, and that's it. Went ahead and dropped the motor back in, got my power steering hooked up, went ahead and put the left front together on the car, throw that 1,000-pound spring in right there, got my 300 Gorilla Fish shock right there, everything's bolted up and done on this side. We're going to go ahead and do the right side together. Important point, I'm not talking setup yet. This is just a collaboration video of us getting to this point to get this car down rolling where we can like get the deck and the body and stuff. We're going to cover setup like before we go to the track, and like we'll just go through the whole thing. What are all the measurements? What are all the parts? What shocks? What valving? You know, we're going to cover it all, but it'd be ad hoc at this point. And I want to have later, you know, if you think about it, I want to have one video somebody can go to after they see that we built a car ourselves and we're just hammering everybody in all the big shows and taking all the money, right? You know, I want one video people could go to and see exactly what we did to get there. And so we'll put that all in one video at some future point, hopefully about 2 to 3 weeks from now. All right, let's get this right front together. Slide down here. Oh. Okay. Of course, I got my Rodney Wing Crate Racing approved lower control arm here. This is a copy of a Nova in a tubular format, and those washers, they put washers on here. The way they put a lot of extra clearance on these sleeves, and this lower control arm can move back and forth about 1/16 of an inch, and I don't like that. So I figured out the washers that would fit and allow me to not have that slack, and I got all this stuff greased up so that I can just get it all over me. This is going to be a pain. It was a total pain on the other side. It's going to be a total pain on this side to get this up in there. But we're going to get it up in there. We are going to get up in there. Okay. The heims that they weld on to these control arms don't have a grease, a zerk fitting or anything. And I greased them well, but it means to really service that control arm the way it needs to be serviced, I'd have to take it off every time, so that I could like swivel that heim to get grease in the backside of it. And that's going to be a pain. I don't know how often I'll do that, but I'll have to do it on every so many races, probably like when I change the oil in the car or something along those lines. Okay, that is in, free, won't wiggle back and forth because I put those washers in. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this weight jack in. So this is the BSB outside diameter drop cup, and I think it's 2.5 inches of drop. And so like from where the jack is to where the spring rests, and so you can see that there is a bearing up in there, and then that bearing will swivel and deflect some. But you know, so it swivels right here, and then there's a cotter pin I've got through that on the jack bolt, so it's captured. But then the reason that I'm using this outside diameter cup like this, because I had an inside diameter, but I'm moving it to the rear. We'll talk about it when we do the rear. But is because I'm using this BSB Torrington bearing right here. So that Torrington bearing is going to sit in there, and so you need it to be in that cup like that to hold that bearing in place, and also to help protect it from the dirt, because these have to be constantly maintenance. This has got to be a regular thing to like back this thing off and drop that bearing out, throw it in the parts washer, you know, wash it off, re-grease it, all of that. And so I've got that bearing we're going to put in there. The reason for the drop cup right here is because on the right front, what we're doing is we are lowering the spring height on the right side to the left side, and we're lowering it on the front and on the back. So this car, the spring table is sitting lower on the right side than it is on the left side of the car. It does create a leverage effect. I really struggled to get that in my head for a long time, and then I finally came to realize how that works, and it does work. So anyway, so screw that in right quick. So this thing has got like a small bearing that it actually rides on, you know, in here on this jack bolt, and then you've got the bigger bearing as well. So it should really free that spring up. And that's something I've thought about. I don't know that Mr. J has ever said it. It's something to think about, Mr. J. So when we talk about spring rates on a car, and I start looking at like where I started, or like me running the Camaro and like what I'm using, and like I know that I can use ball joints and different parts that will work fine on that car, but they're not as free. They have friction in them. And like, so like for example, the jack and cup that doesn't swivel, there's no bearing. You know, the upper and lower control arms, how they swivel, whether on rubber bushes, like every part that has to move for that spring to work, the more parts you have that have got additional friction and tightness, then that's adding spring rate to your car. I mean, really it is if you think about it. And I hadn't considered it, and I don't know how much it would be, but like, I guess like say if you were to like say it, like think about it like this right here. If I was to take and I had say 1,000-pound spring on this right front, and I've got all stock rubber bushings and all stock parts and stuff, and it's all tight. Nothing is bound up, but it's all just stock type stuff. Well, that car, let's say it drives right, and then we turn around and we were to switch every one of those bushings and bearings and swivel points to like roller bearings, you know, greased bushings, freed up, no ball joint binds. It's all low friction ball joint stuff. It's the whole 9 yards. If we switch everything out, well, suddenly that 1,000-pound spring is going to seem a lot softer, because now you don't add all of that tightness into that rate that's having to be overcome, that's like slowing that spring down on working. And so really kind of like adding rate to it. And so like, you know, if I take and go all low friction, you know, if you were on a 900-pound spring, do you add 100 pounds to the spring? Do you add 50 pounds? Do you add 150 pounds? I don't know how much it is. I don't know if any of y'all have ever had any experience with that. And like, you know, you went and completely changed out a front end and like you knew your springs and all your setup was right. And then you found you really did have to change. Like, how much did you have to change? And like I said, I don't think Jay's ever said anything about it on any of his videos. Y'all check him out on the BSB Go Fast. He has got a YouTube channel where he just covers all of this setup stuff. And I will put a link to his channel in the description of this video as well, because there's some good stuff on there. He just puts it all out there, y'all. You know, whether you buy his stuff or not, he puts it all out there. All right, so got that in there. There's that. Good. I'm gonna just set that jack up underneath that while I throw it. Oh, while I throw, that's already adjusted right. There's my screw lower. I already got anti-seize on everything, ready to go. I don't think these gotta be terribly tight. They need to be snug. So there's that. So that's in. Go ahead and get this upper. All right. And we'll put the 0 plate into that right there. And then put a bolt in there like that. And that goes right there. And then this one goes right here. There's that. That's it. This is my first experience with these 2-piece upper control arms like this. I mean, they're nice. I'm not gonna lie, they're nice. And I like the idea of, you know, you can just replace this front part right here if it gets bent up. But we'll see. We'll see. I like this design. It's very adjustable and repeatable. So I really like that. So, but I don't have any experience with it, so we're just gonna learn together as we go, whether or not we like them overall. I tend to like simple, you know. And this is not simple, but I like winning more. And like, if I need to have more adjustment and more repeatability to get to the winner circle, well, then I'm going to learn to like complex. It's just all it is to it. All right, got that in. This upper ball joint in right here. Lock it right there. You have to screw these 2 Allen screws in evenly. If you do one side and then the other, it's going to bind the ball joint up because it pushes the cap over. So you kind of turn them both. There we go. Feels great. Just got that in. Spring in that. Alright. Here's this bearing. Y'all see center and then the two rails for it right there. Ready? Sit it right up in there like that. Turn you back. Grab it. Right. We know everything lines up good. Yeah, this is a better way. Right here. I don't know, y'all. I think maintenance could be a pain. We're gonna find out. So girl better win some races. She wants all this maintenance to be done on her. Just feels strange. It's like I want that bearing to like sit exactly in the center, and like there's some additional clearance, so the bearing's kind of like off to one side a little bit. And you know, me in my mind, I'm like, I want everything to be exactly lined up perfect, and it's not perfect, but I don't know that it has to be either. Okay, well it all just, that helped. So it cocked and got on there right. Alright, a little more. Okay, you sit there, let's get the spindle on where all this will hold together and we can move on! Woo! It's hot in the shop tonight, y'all. That looks good. That looks good. Throw that on there. Throw that on there. I've already put some machine oil on this joker. Got it ready to go. So, come on, Betsy. Get in there. Oh yeah, there it goes. So this is the Gorilla Fist 500. But now this is got a base valve, so it's a low pressure in gas. We will talk about that more on setup, but that is going to be a pretty significant difference for us. So push this down, get around there. Yep. It should come up within an hour. There it goes. All right. That's close quarters, but it works. It works. Absolutely no problem. All right. We already know clearance-wise because we worked that out in prior videos, so we know we're good on our clearance and stuff, so I can let that out. She is extended. Of course, I got the jack all the way up. And we will, of course, there's no load on the spring right now. But, yeah. So once we get it down on the ground, we set it down on the tires and everything, we get it down on the ground, then we'll start cranking the jacks because we'll have to raise it up because right now they're just backed all the way out. And so, yeah, it's going to have more than that. All right, what's next? Oh, that's what's next right there. Get in here, get this big bear on here. Oh yeah. Which way are you turned? Turn that straight up and down. Make it a little bit easier in the future. Stick you in there. You got, yeah, some grease over there. Okay. There we go. Set her toe and everything on setup, but it won't matter for now. Them is all going right there, and right there, and right there. Bolt that up. I am just happy to see like this front end bolted back together and stuff. It just kind of, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, you know, having the engine back in, all the front end put back together and stuff. It's like, okay, we're going to get there. What's going on here is I'm trying to get the main sub-assemblies in to get this car sitting down on the ground on wheels and tires, because the next major video that I want to do is, you know, when we pick this up, we're going to have this car sitting down on the ground, and I'm going to set the ride heights on the car. I don't care about scale numbers or none of that. We're just setting the angle and the attitude of the car to what we know it needs to be. Like we know we're going to be low on the right front, pretty well level on the left front. We're going to be high in the rear, try to get some bar angle on that left rear. And so like we'll pick it up there to set the angles and stuff. That way we can put all of our deck mounts, our body mounts in place and create a deck height that works with that, where we got the angle and attitude that we want on the chassis while also being legal as far as the body goes for like deck height and stuff. So that's where we'll pick it up, and that means that, like, for example, you know, we've already worked out how the rear end mounts and stuff, all that's going to work, so I just got to paint all that stuff up and I'll throw it in. I'll have all that on the car when we get into the next video. There is some work I'm going to do off camera, like in our 73-77 build, we covered like all the little details, like bending up brake lines and, you know, putting the tabs and mounting brakes, you know, around the car and all that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just get that done on the car where we can move forward a little bit quicker. If there is something along the lines that you see that we skipped over, we're going to try to show the work, you know, like, hey, here's how we ran the brake lines and stuff. But if you need to see detail on something, put it in the comments, let me know, because I've either got it on a video, because I don't know, I hope y'all are subscribed to the channel, and go to our website, dirtracelife.com. Like, you pull it up on your mobile phone, you go all the way to the bottom, and I have like playlists. And if you click into them playlists, like I have a build playlist, I've got, you know, like a track action playlist with us at the track. I got a setup playlist. So if you go to those playlists, then it breaks the videos down into groups where you can find the one you're looking for that shows like either us running fuel lines or how to run brake lines or how to do the wiring, any of that stuff. If you don't see what you need in one of them playlists, you leave me a comment, because I'll either find it and like send you back the link to it or something, or we'll make sure that we cover it in this build, or we'll stop for a minute and we'll show how we do it. Because the main thing we're trying to do on Dirt Race Life is we want to show like how that you yourself can build the car all the way from the ground up. So if we skip something, you got to call me out on it. We'll try to cover it, because I'm trying to help you be able to get to the track with something you built in your garage. Really appreciate it. I appreciate y'all being subscribed. I super appreciate my sponsors, because at this point, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of great parts here that we would not be able to put on this car without them. So thank y'all. All right, I'll see y'all in the next episode.